Hey moms, welcome back to Momestly Me. Today we are going to talk about our 5 infant must-haves.
Because as most of you probably experienced getting ready to have a first baby or a fifth baby or whatever, people often tell you what you should and shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And then you get a lot of it and you spend all the money and you go, I don't need any of this stuff.
That's
so
right.
These are ours. Well, things we did need, not things we don't need.
That's right.
Okay. So we have a couple things that are different and different versions of each other's thing, and then we have some similar ones.
So let's start with something that we probably used on day 1. Muslin blankets and receiving blankets. Hers is really cute little.
This is my favorite one because I've got elephants on it.
I'm not going to open mine up.
Well, muslin blankets are naturally bigger because they're
Yes.
made to wrap. So,
Right.
And so my little one started in utero with this insanity of his movement all the time. So we actually were not able to wrap him for very long. We did it for a couple of days.
Yeah.
But the reason that this is mine is because I had a baby with reflux, projectile, all the time, a lot of fun. So I didn't actually use these as blankets. I actually used them as mess cleaner uppers, which is perfect because they're huge. So I would go like this, and when he threw up all over me, I would just go like this and ball it up and throw it in the trash. No, I'm just kidding. I'd wash it. But these were super helpful. They helped when he got a little bit big. We actually just took these out of his closet, and he will be 18 months on Monday. So, but they're perfect for like when they first start moving around and they make messes. You can absolutely use them as blankets if you want to. We've tucked a couple probably around him in the car, but again, it was mostly because he had reflux. But it was perfect for spit up, reflux. If he didn't like something and he spat it out when we tried new foods, we used these a ton for all kinds of stuff. We used to have a big bucket of them. So,
yes. And muslin blankets were everything. We used them for everything.
Yeah.
Similar to Oliver, Aria did not want to be swaddled for very long. The nurses did a fantastic job of it in the hospital.
Yep, same.
And then we got home and we tried for like a day, and she said no. And she would break out of it.
Have you ever seen the cheating ones with Velcro?
Yeah.
We had a bunch of those. Those worked really well, but only for a short period of time.
We didn't have the newborn size of that. We had one for like when she got up to like 12 pounds, 14 pounds.
Okay.
Not rolling over yet, but no, she didn't like that either. Because we thought we'd be able to do, these muslin blankets are gigantic.
They're big.
And some of them come with little cheat labels on the inside.
I do like that.
They have little satin labels on them, and it gives you directions on how to do it.
Super helpful.
Super helpful. I've always been terrible at swaddles.
Rick was a swaddler in our house. He was so good at it. I would just leave the blanket next to Oliver and go, okay, come swaddle him.
No.
He would come swaddle. He did a great job.
It worked out for us that she hated it. It just
did. It's a train wreck of
swaddling. It worked out. But when she was about that size to be able to wear the other cheat one with the Velcro was when she was transitioning into her own bed, and we thought she would need it. No, she hated it.
Yeah.
Hated it. So we use these for everything as well. Definitely in the car when we went on a lot of walks and stuff. So we would put it over the top of her car seat when we didn't have, look, people got germs. And while I'm not a germaphobe, I don't want people looking and saying, oh, what a cute baby. Thank you. Go away. 'Cause, you know.
Yeah.
So we use these a lot for that. But then when she started pulling up and standing in her crib several months ago now, I didn't want to pay $45 for a chew guard. So what I did was I took the muslin blankets and I folded them in half like this. And one more time. And I wrapped it over the edge of the crib rails. And there are different ways you can do it. This one's totally removable, so I can just I used 2 blankets, the big full-size muslin blankets, and if anybody's familiar with cloth diapering, you know they have they're like this big, they're like safety pins, but they're for cloth diapers, so children cannot open them. Those are on the very outside where
Right.
her mouth wasn't anywhere near it. She can't really reach around it to even know that they're there. But also, there's no way that she could open them. Like, I could barely open them. They are so strong. And they go behind a protective shield, which you have to, like, go over bumps to even unhook it.
Hmm.
So that's what we use at home still, because sometimes she gets up with her mouth full of teeth and chews on the side of her crib.
Ah.
For funsies.
That's pretty neat, though.
So if you don't want to spend $45 on a crib guard to go around the top of your crib, muslin blankets. Another thing that we both used were sound machines.
Yep.
And we started using the sound machine, I don't think it may have been our first day home, actually. Because there's all kinds of, like, noise and stuff in the hospital, and it was so quiet at home. I think I thought it was maybe too quiet. So I wanted some kind of, she slept for hours when we first got home. But then when she got up and she wanted to go back to bed, she was very, not going straight to sleep like she had been. So I think I set the sound machine up that night and she went to sleep for her little 2 hours. And I think we've used it every day since then. So, we have one right here, and we'll put the links below for some of these items too, because I'm actually going to show you. This is a Project Nursery one. We love this. It was perfect for her bedroom because it was a garden theme. It's a secret garden. And so this is a firefly jar, and it's really cool. It has Bluetooth on the back of it. You turn it on. I'm not going to do the sounds. Hopefully you can see that if the screen is the lights are not too bright. Can you see the lights? It has fireflies.
You can see a little on the sides.
Yeah, a little bit. Here's like another setting, maybe you can see it better. But that was so cute because it has fireflies in a jar, which is also one of my favorite childhood memories of being at my grandparents' house and catching fireflies in jars because they lived in the middle of the country. And so that was cool. It does wave noises, lullabies. You can connect it Bluetooth to your phone. It is not cheap. So it is a higher end one, and we were very fortunate to be gifted it. Otherwise, I'm not sure she would have gotten this. We also do a travel sleep sheep. I just didn't bring it with me today. But it's just a little lamb that has or sheep, and you hang it on the car seat or wherever, and it plays wave noises. And Oliver's plugs into the wall, right?
Yep. That's why his isn't down here, because he upstairs asleep.
That's right.
So his is, we didn't use, his sound machine was set up and ready to go in his nursery before he brought him home, but we didn't use it until we sleep trained, which was 3.5 months, almost 4 months. And it's a summer infant.
Summer infant.
Yeah, summer infant one. It has like 6 or 7 different sounds. It has volume control on it, and then it also has a little projector disc that you can actually buy different ones for, and it projects stuff onto the ceiling. We actually don't use that mostly because I want him to go to sleep. But also because I know when we tried to use it just to see if he would even pay it attention, he didn't really care, because it has to be like, it has to be like really, really dark, but the image has to be like, I don't know, it just has to be like just right. But that actually is only like a $20-something sound machine, and we've had it this entire time. We've never had any issues. We're going on a 1.5 years. It was actually gifted to me as well in a basket from some of my coworkers for a surprise baby shower that I had. So, but yeah, the sound machine, I've probably said this before, but one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever been given, shout out to Reed because he watches our videos, was that you don't want to be really quiet when you have babies, because then they get used to it being quiet. So then you can't do anything. You can't make any noise.
Right.
And so we had the sound machine, and then we were never really super quiet. And then, fun fact, both of our kids slept through an entire adult Halloween party.
That's correct.
They didn't wake up the entire time the party was going on.
Nope.
And I do credit that to things like the sound machines and not being super quiet. So I do think that was super helpful.
Because they were definitely down the hall and above, because the rooms the rooms are above the garage here. So there were games going on in the garage and lots of loud talking and deep manly voices,
music playing upstairs. People were talking, laughing
out the whole time.
They did really well.
They did. So. And I actually brought the Firefly jar for that. And this one is also rechargeable. So like you just plug it in standard. If you have the micro SD, I think is the standard phone charger for anything that's not an iPhone. Same charger. So love that. Love the sound machines, period.
And then one of the other things that we agreed on that was like our must-have things was leashes.
Cup leashes, passy leashes,
yeah,
toy leashes. Like there's a couple of different kinds. We'll start with the cup leashes. So this one
is different than mine, right?
Yes, they are different.
Yeah, so I did dinosaurs, but it clips, so it goes like this. I feel like I'm on one of those like an airplane.
Yes,
like the. Okay. Anyway, so the first kind that I bought was like this long. It was very bizarre. I don't know why they're called cup leashes, but anyway, this one is perfect. It has this like little grippy thing on the inside. It's resizable. It fits like any cup you can imagine, and then it clips to whatever you want, and then this part's adjustable as well. So like I needed it on a shopping cart, so I just made it longer.
Yeah.
So it could go around the top part, but this works a lot, and the works really well.
Okay.
And then the really funny thing was Oliver knows what this is. So he does it on purpose. He'll throw it over, but he really likes it. If he loses it, he can pull it up and get it himself. So he loves this, and it's so cute. Dinosaurs.
Yes, those dinosaurs are cute. I like that one has a sliding, like a lock and a sliding thing there. So this one is a different brand, and we'll link them
all in the
description, of course. This one was gifted to me by my sister, actually, and it came in a 2-pack. But the same thing. It has that that grippy. It's like it almost feels like a leather, but I don't think it's a leather.
No.
But it's like
foamy, kind of.
So, yeah, something like that. But this one is a Velcro attachment. So when she's starting to figure Velcro and stuff like that out, so I'm sure soon it's going to be game over.
I mean, they have these.
Yeah,
and girly ones.
I know. These have done so well for us because we take them to restaurants. We use it on her high chair at home. Sometimes she likes to throw a cup at the cats. That's right.
This thing does not move. It's amazing. We have 2 of them.
Yep, and this one, so it has the Velcro around this part, and the same with the other end that attaches to whatever. So this is like as big as it goes, though. So if you have anything larger than that, but it works for us and everything we've needed it for so far. We have 2 of them, this one and a red one, and you can make it shorter if you don't want it to be able to go as far. Yeah. And she also knows how to just pull it back up to get her drink, especially at dinner time, because I'm on the other side of the table, and she throws her cup over, and I said, "I'm not getting it. I told you not to throw it." And she looks and she goes, "Fine." She doesn't say fine, but you know what I'm saying. So those are awesome. Also, you can use them as toy leashes. I actually have, so what we like to use a lot is those little links. There's a couple of different.
The little plastic ones.
The little plastic links that have the whole, the cutout, they're like really big C's, right? And they're different textures. We like to use those, but I mean, now she knows how to take them apart. So, same thing. The other leashes we have are passy leashes. So, I know. This is probably the standard one. This
That's
one,
the ones that we have.
it's been very well loved. You also had the kind that had like the little rubber attachment.
So I actually bought the rubber attachments separately off of
Oh, did you?
somewhere else. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and the only reason I don't have an example of mine is because they're boxed up and put in the attic. So,
Yeah.
Ollie doesn't take paps anywhere anymore.
Just for bed.
Just for bed or naps. The only exception is I do think, now that I think about it, there is one in the car. Well, Rick's not home, so the car's not here. But
Yeah.
I did have that in the car because we do give him a pap when we travel long
Yeah.
distances. But it's the same thing. So you just this part literally threads through the plastic part or the little part that
Oh,
she's
the little
talking
rubber
about.
part.
And then the
And
rubber
it
part just pops over
straight
this.
on.
So with these, you put them through the holes.
Yep. So look how little this passy is.
Ollie never had small paps, so when I go back and look at the pictures, he's just like, boom, this big ass pacifier right here on his mouth. It's really funny because he's so, they got little heads.
Yeah. These are the newborn ones, and I forget sometimes that
They're
they're
so
so little. But yeah, it literally just, you thread it through. And I mean, there's two ways. You can either wrap it around the passy or you just
Reloop it.
Loop it through there and boom. It's great. I really like the metal clips.
Yeah.
We have a couple that are like this, but they have a plastic clip on it. I like the metal clips better because even when she was so little and she thrashed around sometimes because she was upset about something or whatever, then it would get pulled off. Even the plastic.
I think we only had the metal ones.
Yeah.
I think.
Metal ones, I really like the metal ones.
So, and then our last two things are our separate things that we thought were important. So I actually didn't find this item until
a few months ago.
Yeah, it was before we bought the house though, so it was a little bit longer than a few. It was before he turned 1, so maybe first of the year.
Yeah.
So,
It's been that long.
yeah. So Ollie, because he is so mobile all the time, we didn't get to stick to like the infant tubs and stuff, and he moves a lot, like all the time. I mean, all the time. So, anyway, so one of my things that I found that I was actually really excited about is something so simple, is the head bucket.
Mm-hmm.
So all it is a couple bucks, and it's this thing that pushes on their head so that you can dunk water over them.
Do you want to demonstrate?
Like this.
Yay!
But further back. They're not
Yes.
normally leaning forward. Now, some babies are totally fine having their heads in water. Ollie at first was not. I had to introduce water in his face. So typically what I would do is I would do this for the back, and then when I had to get the front, I would do just a little bit, and I would push the soap back with my hand. And then when I was sure the soap was out, I would just let some water fall down his face. I actually can just dunk water on his head now.
Right.
But before, he was very scared of it. And as someone who's also scared of water, I totally understand. So he was very, because he moved so much and he would not let me just tilt him back to rinse his head. This was super, super helpful. I wash his hair every time he gets a bath. So it was just one of those like cheap items that I just happened to see one random day, and I will always have one probably until they're too big and they wash around here. But if I have another one, I would definitely have this because it's just one of those things where it's a really great introduction to having water on their face when they're not used to it, if they don't like it. It was super helpful for me.
I mean, I know some 6-year-olds that still don't like to get water on their face.
Yeah.
But so like Aria, I just put water on her. She loves the water now. But like that probably would have been helpful when she was so little. But I would just put my hand, and I don't even think I saw those in the store. I probably would have gotten one.
I was actually mad at Dawn because she didn't tell me it existed.
Rude.
I know.
Anyways, that is a great item though, especially for kids who are just like, and they have other things like that too. Like they have they look so silly. They have these little visors that you can get.
Oh, I've
that are
seen
rubber,
those.
and the water goes down the front.
Well, this was like $5.
Yeah, those are more expensive, I think.
But it worked really good for us. So.
And the thing for us that, man, if she wasn't too big for it, we probably would still use it, was the Mamaroo. And could be a controversial item. I've heard it both ways. Some babies hated the Mamaroo.
Oh yeah.
Seriously. I have a cousin who I think at least 3 of her 4 children hated the Mamaroo.
That's really
They
expensive to have, and then your kids
that's
don't
why
like
they used it
it.
anyways. But it was fantastic for us. Like, I love the Mamaroo so much.
Right.
Um,
I know yeah. I've heard. I know.
yes, and Aria loved it. Like, that's how when we were in the living room together, if sometimes we put her in the little bassinet on the floor, but sometimes the cats were too rambunctious and they were playing, so she would go in the Mamaroo. There were days where it was just I wanted her near me, but she didn't want to be on me in the carrier. So we would do the Mamaroo, and I'd be able to do stuff and work and do things around the house. And it was great because I controlled it from my phone. It had the sound effects on it, the waves, the fan, the rain. It also has 5 different motion settings. She always slept really well in the car. She still sleeps really well in the car. So uh, sometimes if she was,
awesome.
we were
Ollie's like, where are we going?
we're just very
Are we
fortunate.
there yet?
And but when she was so little, we took a lot of road trips.
Yeah.
So I think it just kind of worked out for us because we travel a lot. There's just things that we
Well,
do.
they adapt anyway to what they
Yeah.
get used to. That's why they say like there's so many things you're supposed to start early because then
Yeah.
they get used to it. Kind of like the water on their face. Like,
Right.
I mean, but I love my son, so I didn't dunk his head. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
didn't dunk her
I'm
head,
just kidding.
okay?
I'm just kidding.
I
But
put
like
my
there
hand
there
there.
are but like there are things that like, you know, like we've already like when he was 4 months old, we took him on a boat ride.
Right.
And like there are just things that like the earlier that they get
Mhm.
exposed, the less likely they are to be afraid of it later. And
Right.
that was just I mean, like my brother didn't know that we were on the boat with the baby. I think he thought I don't know what he thought. I guess he thought we left it in the car. I don't know. But he wasn't thinking about it because
Yeah.
there's not normally a newborn on the boat.
Right.
And he came up with a jet ski and he went whoosh and like on purpose and
Right.
soaked everybody, including the baby who just went,
What was that?
my brother like will still apologize to this day, and that was over a year ago. But anyway, case in point, like it does depend on what they get access to
Right.
earlier on.
Right. Well, and so the Mamaroo was like fantastic for us. She would just she would nap in it occasionally.
Ollie just tried to pull all the toys off of it when he was in it.
Yeah, we didn't put the toys up over her head, just because
weren't they across?
No.
Where were they?
So the way that it's shaped like a kind of like an oval that's up on a pedestal. My arm is the pedestal, and I obviously don't have it here. She's too big for it, so it's in storage right now. But I will post a picture or a little video in this video of her using it. But it's like up like this in like an oval shape, and it had a little arm that would come off the top and go over.
Okay.
And so the toys would be about where their head would be. The only fault for me, for the Mamaroo, and for lots of other moms, is that as soon as they can reach that and they pull it, it breaks. There's a little piece inside of it that holds it straight up, holds it like secure, and once they can pull on it and they pull it too much, the little part inside will break. And so we just didn't even use it. She played with it has 3 little squishy balls that have black and white on one side and colors on the other side. So the idea is to be able to change them as their eyesight progresses, right?
Right.
So instead, we just played with them and put them with the other toys and like squished them and threw them, and they're still in her toys that she plays with now.
Right.
That's the only downfall for me for the Mamaroo is the mobile that comes over the top. Aside from that, though, what you're thinking of is we bought a little toy thing.
That's what it was.
I
I just remember there being something on it, and when we put Oliver in it, he was like, trying to
Yes,
pull all
and
that.
that's totally the point of it.
Yeah.
And we would also use it on her car seat. You know what? I will link that in this video too because it was really awesome, and I'd kind of
I've
forgotten
seen
about it
things
until
like that.
now.
I've seen things like that.
Yeah,
Though.
they were great. There were things she could pull on. A little
Yeah.
fan went. So we added that to the Mamaroo for when she
Gotcha.
for when
So
she
you
was
added it. It didn't come with
touching
it. I
and
gotcha.
kicking. Yeah, no, that did not come with it.
Okay, gotcha.
That did not come with it. But I mean, so that was great for us. But a swing was not as great for you.
Yeah. So that was one of those things that all those people that have opinions told me that I had to have. That it was this one person in particular. It's gonna be such a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Fun fact, it was not a lifesaver. So we were talking about this before we started filming. One of the reasons that these videos are probably so helpful, at least in my opinion, is that because our babies are very different.
Totally different.
Like complete opposite of each other. Our
Yeah.
experiences, our parenting styles, everything is so different. And the benefit of that is it really does show you that what works for one or every other mom on the planet does not mean that it will work for you. And so I was very fortunate that someone who loves me very much got us our swing. And granted, swings are not, they can be very expensive, but the one we got
is very expensive.
very expensive. We would have never been given that, nor would we have bought one. So the one that we got was a couple $100, I think. And it worked. I don't want to say that it never worked because that's not really true. It worked in the very, very beginning before my son cared about not wanting to be still, which wasn't for very long. So when it helped me during the day because he did sleep pretty good in it in the very, very beginning. This is like before I even went back to work. So he's only a couple weeks old.
Right.
And
that's good that it worked then because you co-slept.
Yeah.
So there were times when he was asleep, but you were not. So.
Or I would go to sleep on the couch next to him. So it was helpful in the beginning. But as soon as he was a couple months old, he didn't want to be in it.
Right.
And I just had this big piece of furniture that he didn't really like.
Well, but then when you started trying the purees and stuff, because the high chair you had was very straight up, and he wasn't quite to the straight up point, so it was helpful during that.
We used it for a little while, but not very long, because he had a bouncy seat. That's where he ate most of his food.
Okay.
So we used to swing a couple of times, but after we bought those bouncy things, because those are like $25.
Yeah.
I did really love our bouncy seat, but then he got big. And his
seat.
butt literally dragged the bottom of the thing into the carpet. It was so funny. Anyway, Rick asked me if it was a bent, and I said no. He just weighs that much now. So I mean, he was almost 10 pounds when he was born. So so it was at an angle because yes, he couldn't eat upright yet.
Yeah.
He wasn't even holding himself up yet by the time we started foods at 6 months.
Yeah.
So he so he would lay back in the bouncy. He did it in a swing, but not very often. I think Rick probably fed him in the swing more than I did.
Okay.
But so that was one item that like so many people, and one in particular was like, no, you have to have this item. And I feel like it was kind of, I hate to say it because it really was a gift, and I don't mean to take away from appreciation because I appreciated the heck out of that gift because I really did. And it was helpful for a little while, and then we ended up giving it to someone who was expecting, who was probably using it a lot, which is great. But I think I would have felt like it was a waste of money.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't, I could have done without it. We would have been fine if we never had one. And then the other thing that was kind of like that was I was actually told that I didn't need a changing table.
Yeah, those people are crazy.
Because you change your baby anywhere. And I was like, on a changing table.
Now, what's true is you can change your baby anywhere. And if that is your style and what works for you, that's awesome. My baby turns over and tries to run away, so does hers. It's really annoying. So changing table.
Yeah,
And we have very different changing tables too. Hers is like your standard run of the,
it's got the 2 shelves under.
One piece of furniture. Ours is also just one piece of furniture. However, we have vintage furniture. We did not get brand new armoires and dressers because the style that I wanted wasn't available anymore from the brand that I wanted it from. So we had this one, and what it does is it converts later into like a TV stand if you want to use it for
Right.
that. The changing table comes out from underneath and pops up, and it is your height, which was perfect for me. I mean, the other ones are too, but I
Yeah.
was able to just put her like this straight onto the table, and there's her butt right there pointing towards me.
Rick Castelline.
He's so tall.
Yeah, Rick Castelline over ours.
He's really
Anyway.
tall. But still,
Yeah.
changing table. And
Yeah.
it was perfect. And it still is. We still definitely still use it.
Yeah.
She can sit up on it and everything now too. But ours is a larger space, so I don't use a seatbelt on it. Where yours you have the seatbelt on it.
I have to
You
use
have
the belt because he won't sit still.
Right. And ours has the option, but I never installed it because it is such a, you know how big those Muslim blankets are? Okay, that's not quite, but if you folded that in half, like it is like this wide. I'm trying to make sure you can see it in the camera. And it's deep. It's an armoire, basically.
Yeah.
So it's deep and doubled. So we use it every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
That's the only place we change Oliver.
Yeah.
Now, the only exception to that is I would change him in our bed when he was
Well,
new because
yeah.
we co-slept. And then part of his morning routine for a really long time was I would get him up, I would take him to our bed, and that's where I would change him and feed him and stuff in the morning before I had to go to work. But yeah, those are our things and our
Yeah.
not so things and our kind of things and all of the things.
And our just remembered things.
And our just remembered things.
Yeah.
It's like a Dr. Seuss book. Red thing, blue thing, one thing, two thing. I was trying to remember the fish book. I couldn't
I
remember.
don't remember.
Red fish, blue fish, one fish, two fish, two. I don't know. Anyway, it's not important.
It's not important.
It's not a book video. We already did that.
No, we already did
So,
that one, which you should
yeah.
check out on our channel.
Mhm.
After you like this video, comment down below. Let us know if you liked these items, if there are any items that are a must-have for you that are maybe different than what we have.
Or even if you have a story about the same thing, somebody
Yeah.
told you you had to have something or not get it, and you did the opposite, and you're glad that you did.
Yeah.
I always like hearing stories like that because
Definitely.
people have a lot of opinions.
We don't know anything about that. So let us know below.
Yeah, for sure.
And like this video, subscribe to our channel. Make sure you hit the bell so that you know when we upload more content like this. Or if you don't like this, then let us know what maybe you would like to see us do next. We have a couple of playlists going right now. Our I was going to say Thinking Momestly, but that's definitely an Instagram thing. We have, shoot.
Humanizing.
We have our Humanizing Mom playlist that we are adding to. We have a few more moms left to add to that, so definitely keep up with that list. And we also are starting our Reviewing Momestly playlist, which is kind of cool if you want to check that stuff out too. And yeah, let us know what you like. Let us know what you think. Just say hey. We like to say hey back. And yeah, I think that's it. We're on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, @MomestlyMe.
Yep.
And I think that's all we have for you today.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. So we'll see you next time. Bye.